In this lesson, you will learn the overview of Drug Master File System in Japan. The contents of this lesson are as follows. The relationship between master file, in short MF, and application for marketing approval of drugs. MF registration and review. Let's start with the relationship between MF and application for marketing approval of drugs. The general characteristics and stability of the active pharmaceutical ingredients, in short APIs, affect the formulation design of the drug product. The impurity specification of the APIs can affect the toxicity and clinical dose of the drug product. Also, the particle size and crystalline form of the APIs can affect the pharmacokinetics and formulation design of the drug product. Therefore, it is important for the supplier of the APIs and the marketing authorization holder that uses the APIs to share the properties of the APIs. This slide shows how the Drug Master File System works at the application for marketing approval of pharmaceutical products. In the application dossier, the manufacturing method, specifications, and test methods, storage method, and shelf life of the pharmaceutical product, as well as the API, should be described. Basically, the APIs are often procured externally, and the specifications and test methods, etc., are described in the Product Certificate of Analysis, COA. However, the manufacturing method is intellectual property, and in some cases, the API's manufacturers do not desire to disclose the details of the manufacturing method to the marketing authorization applicant. As a method to restrict the disclosure, the master file system has been introduced. By utilizing the master file, the API's manufacturer registers information related to the APIs, including the closed part containing the manufacturing method, to PMDA as a master file, and obtains the master file registered number. The marketing authorization applicant can skip the manufacturing method of the APIs in the application dossier. Please note that the master file is not a patent. Next, let's learn the difference of the application process with or without use of the master file. This slide illustrates the flow of the application without the master file. As explained earlier, the application dossier of the pharmaceutical products must include the manufacturing method, specifications, and test methods of the API. When the API's manufacturer allows disclosing the manufacturing method, they will provide all information of the API to the marketing authorization applicant. The marketing authorization applicant will submit its information in the application dossier of the pharmaceutical product. In principle, the information is described in CTD Module 3. This slide illustrates the flow of the application with the use of a master file. At the time of master file registration, both the disclosed part and the closed part of CTD Module 3 are submitted to PMDA as the supporting documents. When an application dossier with the master file registered number is submitted for marketing approval, PMDA assesses the quality of the API by reviewing both the disclosed and the closed part of information. The slide shows the role and responsibility of in-country caretaker. The Japanese law requires the in-country caretaker, which is located in Japan and understands the Japanese pharmaceutical regulations, to serve as an intermediary between the API's manufacturer and PMDA. The yellow arrows from PMDA indicate the sending of inquiries during the review. The inquiries are not sent directly to the master file registrant from PMDA. The in-country caretaker sends inquiries to the registrant. Responses to the inquiries are also submitted to PMDA through the in-country caretaker. Therefore, the in-country caretaker is not a business agent for the application, but a very important entity that understands the Japanese pharmaceutical regulations and serves as an intermediary between the master file registrant and PMDA. Communication is also important when using the master file system. The disclosed information must be shared accurately and in a timely manner among the three parties, which are the marketing authorization holder of the pharmaceutical product, the master file registrant, and the in-country caretaker. Similarly, the closed information needs to be closely shared between the master file registrant and the in-country caretaker. The next topic is MF registration and review. This slide explains the master file registration schedule and master file review. If there is no procedural deficiency at the time of application, a registration certificate will be issued within 15 days after application for registration. This is aimed to expedite the master file registration. This master file registration system is unique in the world. This method is useful and efficient. It can avoid the duplication of the assessment of the master file. When the manufacturing method or other information registered in the master file is changed, the change is reported to PMDA by an application or a notification. The change is not reviewed at this timing. When an application for changes is made in the pharmaceutical product citing the master file, the contents of the application or notification of the master file will be reviewed along with the review of the pharmaceutical product. To give you an example of efficient review, a review reveals that the solubility of the pharmaceutical product depends on the particle size of the API, though the particle size is not set as the specification. The API's manufacturer explained, to answer the reviewer's inquiry, that the API had been supplied with a specific particle size to the marketing authorization holder. In this case, the particle size can be newly set as the specification of the API. This example shows a benefit to assess quality of API and quality of final product together. It identifies the necessity for this new specification. This slide shows the items that can be registered in the master file: drug substances, intermediates, new excipients, and premix excipients, materials for cellular and tissue-based products. Others include materials for medical devices, containers, and packaging materials. The advantage of the master file is that, for example, the drug products of different marketing authorization holders using the same drug substance utilize the same master file registered number. As explained in the previous slide, the master file registrant should be an actual manufacturer of APIs to be registered in the master file. With the following conditions, an application for master file registration is not accepted. If the manufacturing process is only repackaging, packing, labeling, storage, it is considered that there is no manufacturing secret corresponding to the know-how of the manufacturing method. If a registrant is a contract giver of manufacturing of API, and the manufacturing is performed by a contract manufacturer, in this case, the contract manufacturer should be a master file registrant. The details of CTD to be submitted at the time of master file registration or changes in master file are shown here. The disclosed part contains the information that is disclosed to the marketing authorization holder of the drug product citing the master file, and it must also be submitted to PMDA at the time of master file registration. Please be aware that the disclosed and closed parts shown here are just examples. The disclosed contents are based on the contract between the API's manufacturer and the marketing authorization holder citing the master file, and that the contents disclosed to the marketing authorization holder may differ depending on the contract. This slide shows an example of how to fill out the manufacturing method column in the application for marketing approval for a pharmaceutical product. The right side shows the description in the manufacturing method column in the master file. The left side shows a case where the master file is cited and the master file registered number is included in the manufacturing method column instead of describing the manufacturing method. You are required to submit a copy of the master file registration certificate and a written permission for utilization of the master file. Either way, information on the manufacturing method is the same. Finally, major points are summarized here. 1. A drug substance can be registered in a master file, but it is not mandatory to register all the drug substances in a master file. 2. The master file is not reviewed at the time of registration, and a master file registration certificate will be issued within about 15 days to certify that the registration has been made. 3. The master file is reviewed along with the review of the pharmaceutical product utilizing the master file registered number. Thus, a more detailed review is possible in consideration of the situation at the time of the review of the pharmaceutical product. This system is unique to Japan. 4. The foreign manufacturers cannot directly make a master file registration, and they must undertake clerical procedures, such as registering as a master file through an in-country caretaker domiciled in Japan. 5. The in-country caretaker is required to be familiar with the Japanese pharmaceutical regulations and to properly undertake clerical procedures such as preparing an application for a master file in Japanese. 6. At the time of master file registration, CTD Module 3 is mandatory as supporting documents. The application for master file registration should be prepared in Japanese, but a CTD prepared in English can be submitted.